Aloha and welcome to another Outside Hawaii. I'm Jen Boniza. We're dedicating today's show to our conservation workers, the people who are committed to keeping Hawaii's mauka and makai healthy and viable for future generations. On the first part of the show, we travel to Maui and take a Hana-style four-wheel drive trip to the core. This is where a battle is being fought to save our native forests and our fresh water supply, and really our way of life in Hawaii. The Hana Miconia crew, an irreplaceable part of the Maui Invasive Species Committee, has been waging a war on Miconia, an invasive plant that has the potential to change all of our lives and the quality of life for future generations. The Hana Miconia crew routinely partners with groups like our national parks to fight this invasive plant from the air and on the ground in terrain that is often treacherous and unforgiving. Miconia is not isolated to Maui. It's on most of the major islands. During one of our recent focus group sessions, not a single participant knew what a watershed is or how important they are. Our native rainforests, a critical component of our watersheds and our fresh water supply, is being threatened by invasive species. One of the really bad ones is Miconia.
Miconia, native to Central and South America, was brought to Hawaii in the early 60s as a decorative garden plant. A couple of miles from Hilo, this patch is literally a few feet off the Hamakua Coast Highway. On the island of Maui, their Hana Miconia crew is gearing up for another long day in the field, gathering data and removing this threat to our watersheds. Lisa Fox-Strohecker, the Outreach and Education Coordinator, arranged for us to accompany a field team into the core. This is the area where Miconia was first brought to Maui and has spread into the surrounding forests.
If we didn't do anything about it, it would definitely cover all the low elevation forests. It would start sneaking up into our high elevation forests. In areas that are densely infested with Miconia, you see nothing but Miconia. There's no understory at all. It shades out all other plants. The only thing that can grow in a Miconia forest is a Miconia plant. It's very shallow rooted, so when big storms come, the plant's knocked down very easily. There's consequently all kinds of erosion and degradation of our streams and coral reefs. As it starts to make its way up into our watershed, that means less water that we're able to collect, less water that's going into our aquifers, less water that is being captured in runoff.
On the Big Island and Maui, the battle to eradicate Miconia has evolved into a defensive one. Containment is now the goal. This plant has the real potential to affect our quality of life in Hawaii, and it's sad that the general public has little clue about the economic and cultural destruction Miconia can cause if we do not address this invasive plant.
But as for the rainforest, it's changing with invasive species every time. I've been working here for 8 years now, and way back when we used to work, you could just easily walk through the rosy apple forests and it was just nothing. It's just yeah, okay, Miconia here and there, cool, cool. And then now we go back into these units 8 years later and it's just overgrown with clydemia, and all you see under the dead rosy apples is purple and it's really bad, and it's hard. The machete bounces off the wood, it's you can't even get through it. It's just kind of hard work, but real persistent, slow but steady, and we can get something done.
In Hana, the Miconia field crew is truly part of the community and an important part of the local economy. Most of the team is from here and would have to look for work outside of this close-knit place, if not for the Maui Invasive Species Committee. The conservation community has not done a good job educating the public about who they are and what the major threats are. They have an identity problem. What or who is a conservation worker? Also, the atmosphere in Congress has not been helpful. Managers have to sweat out slashed budgets even though the threats to our forests and oceans are growing.
This is one mature Miconia plant going into seed pretty soon. This is easy 6 meters. Since we cannot pull them out, we have to basal bark them. But you can see different stages from like the flowers to like just beginning to fruit. And you get more up here on this branch, you get some that's already seeding with berry pods. These ones get purple berries. Started to get mature and ready to drop next generations of Miconia. Okay, this is the mature berries, ready to drop seeds. The birds like to eat them and spread them. So, okay, this is the berry, the Miconia berry. Inside get plenty seeds, like tiny like sand. As you guys can see when I open them up, you see all the little black, that's the seeds. Tiny, like very tiny seeds on top of my hand already. That's it right there.
Basal barking is the application of a liquid herbicide that kills mature invasive trees. Helicopters are also used in aerial spraying and are very effective in difficult terrain. Human power, plain old boots on the ground, is and probably will always be a vital part of the invasive challenge.
Who and what are conservation workers? I'm sure all of you know what police officers, nurses, firefighters, and our military do. They protect and take care of us, often in unhealthy, remote, and dangerous places.
We talked about the lack of identity for conservation in the last segment. Fact is, most of us demonstrate little concern about our forest and ocean environments. There is more media attention devoted towards high gas prices, traffic congestion, crime, tourism, politics, and politicians. We believe if you knew more about the people that work in conservation and the adversity they face daily, you just might be more concerned about Hawaii's future.
What you saw today is actually minor compared to a lot of areas where we're working, especially when you have to hike a few hours in the morning just to get to your location. You're already a little bit, you know, the muscles are burning a little and everyone gets tired and hot, and just have to remind each other to take a break, take your time, move slow.
Yeah, it's a worthy endeavor for the ecology of the island. You know, they let it get out of control, and like in some islands in Tahiti, and those islands are basically gone. There's no more grass will grow on the ground, so every time it rains, all the topsoil washes down and kills the reef. This plant could be the beginning of the end for the biodiversity of this island.
Yeah, I do feel like it's a family, especially I think anytime you work with a small group, there's 7 of us that work together, so that does create, the smaller crew creates that kind of family environment, because we don't like separate to do other jobs like you would in another business. We all basically work on the same projects every day together, 40 hours a week. We do a lot of traveling off island together. That's when you really know that you're family.
Is it easier to go through a native forest than one invasive forest?
Yeah, because get like all Clydemia now too. That's more tangle, you know. Hard for walk through. Just all the invasive grow faster than the native, yeah. And if we had more natives, we'd be all tall already, you know. So we wouldn't have that like brush, yeah. Hard to get through.
Clydemia is another invasive that is spreading rapidly through our forests. It is a relative to Miconia, and it also crowds out native forest plants.
Okay, this is another, we call this a 1 meter plant. And real small, should be really easy to just tug on and pull. And shake out the dirt and just hang them up.
Where do you guys hang them?
You just hang them up so the roots don't touch the ground and they don't regrow again. So GPS, this is where we at. We put maps on top of them so we can do thorough sweeps of the areas that we work in. And then this is also so the thing track out our work hours. This is so we can show people up in the office what we're really doing. This is just basically something so we can keep track of our work. But right now I have to take everybody's numbers. So when we go out there, I can get everybody's numbers, but I can show you right now. Joe, give me your numbers.
Firefighters and police officers protect us in our homes. These folks are basically doing similar work. If you believe Hawaii's Mauka and Makai is also our home, then we should support our local conservation workers.
The cost of living here in Hawaii is among the highest in the nation. Haven't you ever seen the look on a tourist's face when they go to buy a gallon of milk here? If we do not protect our existing watersheds, our quality of life will only get worse as our economy continues to suffer.
The use of helicopters in the battle against Miconia has proven to be very effective and cost-efficient. In areas like the core, where there are steep cliffs and areas dangerous and difficult to access by foot, helicopters spraying herbicides are keeping this tenacious invasive from spreading into our higher elevations and native forests. It takes serious concentration to pull off this sort of operation. The spotters and pilots do not have much margin of error in these conditions and are often drenched in sweat after a long day's work. The flight crews and pilots are some of the best in the nation. Yes, it is expensive. However, without these conservation workers, Miconia will spread further into our watersheds and negatively alter our water supply. The effort in Hana is a partnership with our national parks and the Maui Invasive Species Committee. They are very concerned about future funding for these operations. If you're worried about your quality of life and your children's and grandchildren's, it's very important that you support our conservation community. As we mentioned, the current situation in Washington, D.C. is worrisome, to say the least. Again, conservation workers work in some pretty challenging and sometimes dangerous conditions. The work they do is helping to protect our economy and quality of life. Affordable or plentiful fresh water may not be high on your list of priorities right now, but if we screw up our watersheds, I promise you, it will be.
Essentially, the big deal with Miconia is that it has the potential to degrade essentially everything that we value in Hawaii. It'll degrade the watershed, so we're not capturing adequate quantities of water to recharge our aquifers. It will degrade the natural environment so that we end up over-siltating the reefs. It will, in the long term, from sea level up to 4,000 to 5,000 to 6,000 feet, strip all native ecosystems. So not only do we lose our threatened and endangered species, we also lose our recharge ability in the aquifers. We lose our reefs and our reef fish because of the siltation and the runoff. We lose our highways in steep areas because of massive erosion. So the big deal is that it undermines not only our economy and our culture and our way of life, it essentially undermines everything.
We know that firefighters protect our homes and save lives. Law enforcement folks stop speeding drivers, keep the peace, protect us from violent criminals, and arrest thieves. They are soccer moms, Little League coaches, high school classmates, and neighbors. Many of them grew up eating Spam and eggs with shoyu on the rice and prefer day-old poi rather than fresh.
Well, to be honest with you, I see us as the Hawaiian Superman out here. We're out there in the forest. Sure, people can go break rules and things like that, speed, but here we're trying to save the forest. Everything comes from that. An island is an island, and if you don't protect where your water's coming from, water is life, you don't have anything. And then what we've got big cities that don't have water, that are polluted. So, you start from nature, because that's where it all began. Protect that. So yeah, we're the protectors of the forest, and that's pretty much what we do all day long.
Okay, go ahead.
Miconia, take 3.
Hana Miconia!
Mahalo for joining us today. We appreciate your attention and your kokua. Thanks go out to MISC, the Hana Miconia crew, LCC, the Malama Learning Center, and NOAA. Aloha, ahui ho, Malama Hawaii.